Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Cartoon Soup podcast. Today we are doing what we used to call Mediocre Monthly and what we're now calling a comic soup. It's our comic manga graphic novel book club. Today we're talking about a manga called She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat. And let's just get started.
Okay, yay! Okay, so volume one, we are introduced to two of our main characters, Namoto and Kasuga. Okay, let's set the stage. Namoto is an amateur cook who's always aspired to cook big, lavish meals. But issue number one, she's a light eater. Issue number two, she has no friends. Enter Kasuga, the woman next door. Or next door. This is a woman who can put down half a KFC menu and have room for dessert. These two girlies strike up a friendship through their love of food. Nomoto has a lot of gay panic over it. Okay, volume two. In this issue, we get a little bit more of Kasuga's backstory. Somebody has moved into the apartment in between theirs. They have to cancel their Christmas plans because Nomoto gets sick, and then she realizes she is a lesbian. So she's dealing with those two illnesses. But they are it's okay, I'm joking. Is this when we give the disclaimer that I am a lesbian and you are gay?
Yeah, I think we need to make that clear before we can joke about that. You know?
Yes, we're both gay and it's just a joke, guys. But they are still able to celebrate the New Year's together, platonically. Why are you making that face?
Listen, I just feel like the way we started this video has been a mess, and I kind of love it.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've recorded a video like this. So, volume 3, we are properly introduced to the new neighbor, Nagumo. We also explore some of her backstory. Namoto gets closer to her online friend Yako by bonding over lesbianism. After a horrible conversation with her father, Kasuga realizes she's in love with Namoto. And then all four of them have a little get together. Volume 4, in this issue, we finally get some Yako backstory. Namoto finally expresses her feelings to Kasuga after Kasuga tells her she's moving. Kasuga quickly expresses her feelings as well and then asks Nomoto to be her new roommate. Oh, yeah, and all these romantic confessions all happen on Valentine's Day. The girlies apartment hunt and we end with another food party. That's all four of them.
I knew from the very beginning that this would be an asexual themed manga. I don't know what it was about it, but the vibes Namoto had strongly gave me asexual from the very beginning. What I love about that is that this genuinely feels like a manga that isn't catered towards straight people, and that it's actually written for queers. Despite both characters having feelings for each other, they never show strong sexual feelings towards each other, which I personally really enjoy. I'm not saying more safe for work scenes are bad. I'm just saying when it comes to manga, not safe for work scenes seem to be written for men, which is first of all gross. And I appreciate how the story has a female focus and how it doesn't feel like it's catering towards weirdos who want to get their dick hard, I guess. I also mentioned this, but I totally expected Namoto to be asexual. And I'm just really glad they did that because we have like two asexuals in here. I'm not sure about Kasuga yet, because we haven't really gotten her exploration on her feelings of being a lesbian exactly. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Speaking of this manga's woman focus, I think the way this manga talks about being a woman is probably the most realistic portrayal of womanhood I've seen in a while. Now, I will make this clear, I am a man. I am a man. So take whatever I say with a grain of salt. But honestly, it felt so refreshing the way Nomoto talks about how men assume she's cooking for a man or because she wants a man, when in reality, the reason she's cooking is because she personally enjoys it and is cooking for her own enjoyment and not for a man. I just think that discussion and the discussion all the women have about their families and about the way men treat them are amazing. And I think it's just a very realistic portrayal of being a woman. I think the side characters added a lot to this manga and are such a perfect fit for this manga. Nagumo is, I think that's her name, is a character that seems to have an eating disorder, and I think that adds a different perspective for a manga that is about loving food, which was very unexpected, I guess. I wouldn't expect a manga about like loving food to tackle an eating disorder. I think that was honestly just such a smart move. Nagumo starts to realize that she actually feels comfortable eating around these new friends she's made. And we slowly see her like start to open up a bit more when it comes to eating because of that, because of her friends. And I honestly think that was just such an amazing way to deal with like an eating disorder. I also just love the way she's supportive of Kasuga and how she acts like completely normal when Kasuga comes out to her. That was honestly really amazing.
Wait, does she have an eating disorder or does she have an anxiety disorder?
I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. Don't ask me.
I need to look this up. So in volume 5, which I have read, she actually does go see a doctor and they say she has nope, not even gonna DEIP, but it's described as like anxiety towards eating in public. Yeah, it's an anxiety disorder that causes intense and irrational fear of social eating situations. So I don't think it is an eating disorder. I think it's an anxiety disorder.
Well, either way, I did enjoy seeing her grow from that point and learn how to be comfortable kind of eating towards people. Clearly, she has some work to do, but like seeing that growth was really great. I also really love Yako, and I love how we see multiple asexual lesbians. I love the way she supports the mono. Just a great character overall. I will be completely honest. When we first met Yako, I got bad vibes because of this one line. Like, if that line wasn't there, I would have had a completely different vibes from her. But basically, Nomoto is like, yeah, my relationship with Yako has changed as we started talking. And I don't know, the way that was worded gave me bad vibes. Like it was said in a way where like, yeah, Yako is kind of weird. And I was like, okay, what do you mean by that? But I guess I was wrong. I guess I just read too much into it. My bad. I guess. I'm just glad she wasn't like she didn't turn out to be a bad character because I don't know how I would feel about it. Like if she got in the way of the main character's relationship, I don't think I would have enjoyed that. I just love how this is clearly a story about people being supportive of these two main characters. I think if it was any different, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much.
Okay, I have a question for you. How did you feel about the fact that there really was no, like, all the drama that happened was internal drama that people were having with, like, themselves? The drama never came from, like, cheating or anything or, like, jealousy. It was like the small amount of drama we get is people having, like, internal anxiety and, like, over assessing a situation, but it never really negatively impacted any of the other characters in any way. And even then, it was, like, at some point discussed and, like, whatever anxiety that was happening was sort of, like, snuffed out. How did you, because I know that you've read a lot more bad stories than I have. How did it feel not having that kind of trashy drama?
I was going to mention this later, but the way all these characters act is so adult and mature, and it's so refreshing. Like the way, for example, Nemoto and Kazuga tell each other that they like each other just felt really adult and mature, and like there was no drama, there was no unnecessary filler added to the story. Like it was just I like you, you like me. Let's date, let's move in together. It was just simple, and I really enjoyed that. I am so tired of stories that try to lengthen like the dramatic scenes when they don't need to be like lengthened at all. It was just so refreshing to not have these characters like have unnecessary drama and the drama only came from themselves. Because when it comes from themselves, it made a lot more sense the drama they're going through because it clearly had to do with their own personal problems and not the problems of other people. So there's this scene where Kazuga talks to her father about how she refuses to go back home because they never treated her well. And those scenes where Kazuga's backstory is explained genuinely made me angry, and it felt amazing for Kazuga to finally say how she feels, even though her father or the rest of her family will never truly listen or hear to what she has to say. I feel like the way she said it just helped her a lot as a character, like it helped her grow a lot as a character. I think that was a really amazing scene to add for her, so I'm really glad they did add that.
It was genuinely frustrating to read that. The first time I read it, I think I had to, like, take a break afterwards because I was so angry, which is a good thing. That means that, like, the writer did their job because it was meant to be a very frustrating scene. A thing that came out of it was, Kasuga realizing that she did love, Nomoto, and that was really lovely. This bad situation had to happen, but I'm glad that something good came out of it.
Another scene that really made me angry, and these are multiple scenes. Whenever Namoto gets a call from her mother's like, "When will you stop playing around?" And the way that is worded is so bad, and I was like, "Ill, that's gross." The way she was expected to like marry a man, I guess, is what really annoyed me. Her mother never like truly let her decide what she wanted for herself, I guess, is what really frustrated me. I have a question for you actually. Does she come out to her mom in like volume 5 at all? Or is that
No. Can I spoil a little something for you, actually?
Sure.
Or no? Okay. So in volume 5, there's this scene where she goes out with some of her work friends, and, she's talking about how, like, she's dating someone, and she's like I think she implies that, like, one day she wants to, like, marry her partner, but she's using, like, very gender neutral terms. She's not, like, explicitly saying that she's, dating a girl, and then they're like, "Oh, he's such a lucky guy." And you see, like, the life drain from her and how she just sorta, like, goes on autopilot, and she's like, "Okay, anyway."
That must be very frustrating for her, and I am excited to read volume 5 when I get to it.
There's a cultural difference happening. I mean, depending on where you live in America, the way that things like this are like, situations like this are addressed, like, not being out to your family, but, like, being gay and stuff like that. Just, like, the stories that we're seeing in this, they would be addressed differently in America, and I think that how we view some of these scenes might seem a little bit more irritating to us because we're like, "Well, no, now why would that happen?" But it's actually maybe a more common thing to happen in Japan.
I think there's also something to say about how in Japan, I feel like there are how am I gonna word this? There's like this thing with countries where like it's either an individualistic country or like a community focused country, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I think Japan is a lot more community focused. So when like someone comes out as a lesbian, it's a bigger deal, I guess. So I guess it's handled differently partly because of that. But yeah, I do agree with you. The way these people are treated is different than it would be here in America. I love the way Nomoto realizes she's a lesbian is by searching an "Am I gay" quiz. I never did that when I was a kid, but like I know
No.
I guess it's a big thing for a lot of people.
It's a canon event. What are you talking about? What do you mean you never literally, like, I I literally remember looking up, "Am I lesbian?" and taking, like, a what was it? It was like a quotev quiz or whatever, and I'd be so frustrated because I'd go on the fucking test and I'd be like, "Okay, I gotta be honest," and then it'd get to this, question where it's like, "Do you think about kissing girls?" And I'd lie and I'd be like, "No, of course I don't." The answer would always be like, "Well, you're looking up a quiz, are you gay? You probably are," and I'd be so frustrated, and I'd be like, "No, I'm not." But that's like a canon event, Marco. How
I
did
know
you never do that? You never
I
even, like,
can't
looked up, like, gay?
I did look up gay, but I didn't look up like an "Am I gay" quiz, you know?
That's
Like I
crazy.
guess what I'll say is men are weird and I was friends with men, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
They made homophobic jokes.
No, one of them was secretly gay, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
what does that have to do with what? Did you, like, kiss a boy or something? What does that have to do with
No, no. I mean, like he and I had conversations about this stuff, and he helped me realize.
Oh. Oh, I wish that happened to me. Instead, I had to take BuzzFeed quizzes.
Well, I guess everyone figures out differently. I can't imagine like figuring that shit out by myself because like it would probably take me a lot longer, even though it's very obvious. You know
Oh my god, do you wanna know what the exact thing that happened to me when I found out I was a lesbian?
what?
I was laying in okay. Story time. Okay, so basically in middle school, there was this girl who had short hair and that really confused me. And I was like, well, I only like her because she looks like a guy. And then I just was like, I think she was like a grade above me. And I was just like so infatuated with her, and it really made me angry. And then one night I was literally laying in bed and I don't know how to explain this to you. It's like when you go on one of those big kid roller coasters and you get to that part where, like, you're about to drop or something, and you have that moment where you're like, "No, I shouldn't have gone on here." It was that, like, horrible sinking feeling in your stomach, and in my head, I was like, "Oh, no. Am I gay?" And then and then I just had that it was literally like that horrible sinking feeling in your stomach. And then for like 2 minutes, I tried to convince myself that I was that I was bi, because I was like, maybe it'll be okay if I'm just half straight." And then I realized, no, I really don't like men. Um, and then I was a lesbian.
That's honestly so sad. Um.
Okay, don't say that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad you're in a better place now at least
You just had like a talk with the bros.
with one bro, I guess.
With a bro. I was just sitting in my bed crying.
I love this conversation Yako has with Namoto, where she's like, I feel like I'm not a right lesbian. That was honestly such a great way for Namoto to like figure out that she's asexual. And I think just having her discuss like, oh, don't worry, I feel that way sometimes too, because I'm kind of the same as you. I think that scene between both of those characters was amazing.
I don't even know what you'd call this dynamic between Kasuga and Namoto, but I think I love when one character is completely smitten from day one and then the other is just like straight chillin'. Like they also have those thoughts and feelings in their head, but outside they're very like chill with it. Okay, something I like about this whole story is how we have these conversations of conservative gender roles and the heteronormativity through each character's relationships with food. Namoto's family, colleagues making comments about how like she'd be a good mom slash wife, and Kasuga dealing with servers, assuming she'd want a smaller portion. Some random man telling her how she should eat. I like how they mesh those two things together. Like the premise of the story is around food, and they're also discussing sexism through scenarios with food in them. Why did I say this? I think I said this for
Say
like
it.
no, I
Say
said this
it.
for like I said this for disclaimer purposes because I'm on the internet and I know that weird people exist. I said that I should mention that this is not a fetish story. Feeders, feeders. They exist, and I really didn't want this to seem like a story that indulges in that fetish. It definitely isn't. This is a story that explores people's complex relationships with food while critiquing societal views on people's eating habits. This is not a feeder story. I want to make that clear for the weirdos in the back. What ultimately persuaded me into buying this manga in the first place was the fact that this was a lesbian story about lesbian characters who are lesbian adults that are drawn like adults. There is nothing I love more than finding a manga that has characters that look their age. And have we pointed that out yet? The adults are drawn like adults.
No, we have not, but they do look like adults. They don't look like lollies. They don't look like 2,000-year-old toddlers, you know. They're normal. Don't you just love it when an author is normal?
Don't you? God, I love it, and it's so rare nowadays.
Exactly. We just not enough people are normal these days.
Yeah, and we stand by that statement. More people should be normal.
Yeah, exactly.
So I love how we came back to the restaurant from the first issue in the second issue. And we went back and we showed how this old couple was able to learn and adapt after Kasuga called them out last time about giving her a smaller portion. Honestly, that was kind of slay. And it felt like them or like the writer being like, hey, old people out there, old people are capable of change, actually. Whenever I see this, I will point it out because I love it. This series has content warning pages in front of chapters that may have um like triggering what you just do?
I was looking for my manga. It's on the other side of the door.
Oh, okay. I have all the mangas right here. I can
Okay.
actually would you like me to show an example?
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever there's a page or whenever there's a chapter that may have a triggering topic in it for some people, this manga has a little disclaimer. Aha! I don't know if it'll look good enough, but this is what one of the trigger warning pages look like.
It looks
Um,
entirely white.
It says, in order to accurately portray patterns of real life discrimination against people of marginalized sexualities, part of the following chapter includes discriminatory language. These scenes may be emotionally stressful or triggering for some readers. Please read at your own discretion. I like how, for a lot of these trigger warnings, it's not just giving the trigger warning, but being like, being more in depth about it. And also, in volume 5, when Nagumo gets her diagnosis, there is a page after that chapter where the author writes some information. Haha. So they have a Q&A, an informative Q&A for that thing that Nagumo was diagnosed with. I still don't know how to pronounce it. but that was so cool. Oh my god. And the author literally asked a representative for Japan Association for Overcoming the Phobia. So like this author is doing her research and she's asking questions to professionals. And that's so amazing and I think that honestly more authors should be doing it. So the Am I Gay the Am I Gay quiz scene. Something I wanted to add onto that is in that scene, what I love about it is the way that the author has been able to discuss topics through these people relationships with food. So in that scene, Nomoto has her little identity crisis, and we see her melt into dough that gets rolled out, and then there's these cookie cutter punch outs of like perfectly shaped gingerbread in order to symbolize society's pressures on people. And I feel like that was such like a solid visual representation um of like what she's going through and using food to show that, which listen, this writer understood the assignment. I love the interactions between Kasuga and Nagumo because the bones of their stories are the same. I think is the best way I can describe it. So they both have like uncommon relationships with food, and have families who didn't understand that relationship. And because of that, these characters have strained relationships with their families. But that's where the similarities end. Kasuga is kind of like the bad ending, and Nagumo is like the good ending. I mean, from what we've seen, Kasuga has got almost no contact with her whole family. She does talk about, like, possibly giving her phone number out to her mom just in case. Nagumo does talk about how, like, she believes that in the future she can, like, build up that relationship back with her family. Speaking of dynamics, I love Nemoto and Yako's friendship. I never got weird vibes about Yako. Actually, I I sort of saw her as, like, you speak.
I think it was just the wording of Nemoto's thought process that kind of gave me bad vibes. But like, I honestly don't think there was anything bad about the relationship at all. I just personally got bad vibes from one line, and I read too much into that line. So yeah.
Because you've had such horrible experiences with disgusting, horrible, stupid books, right?
I mean, let me talk about romance. I was reading this romance manga called Kimi ni Todoke, straight romance. Basically, there's this girl who becomes friends with the main character, and we realize that this girl is like a fake friend, and like is trying to spread rumors about this girl. And I was like, okay, so why was it here? Like, like I feel like it's so common for like whenever a new female character gets introduced in a romance, she's always going to be the bad one who like tries to set the two apart.
Yeah.
So I guess I was just used to that, and I guess that's what I was expecting, but it wasn't, which was amazing.
See, I think I had more optimism when I was reading this, and I was like, "Okay, she's just gonna be, like, a friend there for, Nemoto who's gonna, like, help her out." Yeah, so Yako is, like, such an ideal friend, and I love how she helps out Nemoto. It's also a fun way to explore Uh-oh, what does that say? Oh no, I can't read my handwriting. What the fuck am I Hey, do you wanna see at my handwriting? Look at that. Is
Again,
that
the screen is white.
I don't think it's too bad, but I can't read my own handwriting. The fuck am I saying? Okay, it's also a fun way to explore some of these insecurities that Namoto is experiencing. Obviously, Yako is Namoto's opposite. I wouldn't say their dynamic is close to Kasuga and Nagumo's. Um, it's much more diluted, but it's a dynamic that works and creates important conversation. So, the curry party. I love how Naguma knows, how Kasuga feels about Namoto, and Yako knows how Namoto feels about Kasuga, and they're both, like, silently shipping them in the background.
There's this scene where Kasuga says that Nemoto looks cute while she's sleeping, and they were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, oh, there was also I think it was the morning of the morning after the curry party, Namoto and Kasuga were, making breakfast, and, like, it was like the other 2 were like, "Okay, we'll just pretend to be sleeping somewhere to let them have their own time." It's so cute. We love supportive friends. Oh, last thing. I love when mangas have pages where they show off stuff about the characters. Like in this one, we get a PJ lineup and all their phone lock screens. I think what I appreciate the most is that it's a fun way to see the styles of the characters, like show us their vibes and aesthetics. It's not something you have to put into your manga, but it's fun when it's there.
Bloom to you does this. Oh my god.
I wouldn't know.
You really wouldn't.
Maybe one day, Marco. I love Yako so much. I think it's her mix of optimism and confidence. It feels like she has her life figured out, which is a great type of character to add into this friend group. Like even when she's talking about how finding love seems like a hopeless pursuit, she still has hope that she'll have this bright future. So how do we feel about the scene where Nomoto spills her heart out?
Where she finally tells Kazuka how she feels?
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. I really enjoyed it. I didn't mind it at all. Why, was there something off about it?
No, I was just asking you.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like I already talked about this, but I really do love how mature the both characters were about it, and like how there wasn't any like drama. It was just really amazing.
I feel like it made sense for like her way when she like finally came out and was like, I love you, girly. The fact that she was just like her word vomiting and her having like this anxiety and like fear and stuff, I feel like that was so on brand for her personally, like based off of the experience, based off of what we've seen from her before. I feel like it made sense for her to express her feelings that way. I also want to bring up how everyone is so accommodating to Nagamo without being like judgmental or like pushy about it. Like they don't make it a big deal that like she doesn't want to eat around them. Whenever they have a get together, they have like appropriately themed drinks with like their meal. That's such like a nice little touch. And instead of just like having her drink water or a Gatorade, it's usually something that complements the meal they're having, which is so nice.
I also just love how like Nagimo, they give her a bunch of options for drinks. Like she's like one of the characters like, I got like a bunch of drinks. You can have whichever one you want. I just think giving options to her was like such a nice thing to do. And I thought that was also really great. Overall, I think this is a really amazing manga. I really love it. I just love how there's no drama at all. And whatever drama there is, it mostly has to do with the characters' internal conflict and not any like drama between the characters. I just love how, like I mentioned this before, I just love how mature this is. And how these are clearly adults and they don't act like teenagers. Because I have read stories where like adults are acting way too young for their age. This was great, and I love how these characters acted. And I also just love the found family vibes.
Hey, if you like slice of life stories, you should read this. And this is a very character driven series, and the characters are well written with enticing stories. We are rooting for these characters, and when they win, it feels so good. When they lose, they have a net of friends to pick them up. The writer chose to write about sensitive subjects, and she did it successfully. The way some of these heavy scenes were written, it didn't feel gross or exploitative. There were literally content warnings before these heavy chapters, which more people should do, honestly. And last thing, the adults look like adults. No OO anime girls in this story. I'm a little upset that, okay, I don't read a lot of manga. I don't have a lot of experience with manga. So I haven't read a lot of this a lot of slop like Marco has. I kind of feel like I made a mistake because this manga is like the best case scenario for a newbie like me who wanted to read a story about lesbianism, because this is so well written and well constructed, and I love the characters, and I love the storyline and everything that's going on. That I feel like if I read anything that's even a couple pegs under this, I might get just like angry and be like, "Well, this isn't good at all," because this has set such a high standard for me.
Anyways, guys, that's our thoughts on the first 4 volumes of She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat. Our social medias are in the description, and that's everything, so goodbye.